Today, I will be flying between Manila and Singapore on Singapore Airlines business class product on their 787-10. Come along as I experience this product for the first time, and stick around to see my thoughts on this flight. Early this morning, we find ourselves at Terminal 3 of Ninoy Aquino International Airport in Manila, Philippines. It was quite the process of getting situated, as the terminal was quite chaotic upon entry, which is not something you expect or want when it's 4 o'clock in the morning. After going through the initial door checkpoint to verify I was actually in the right place, I made my way to Singapore Airlines check-in counters. Business class had their own separate check-in space, which I greatly appreciated. After checking in my luggage and getting my boarding pass, it was now time to clear departures immigration in Manila. There was no separate line for business or first class passengers, which I highly suggest the airport to add. If you are traveling out of Terminal 3, be sure to allocate at least 1 hour just to clear immigration and get past security. After making it past immigration and security, I headed straight to the lounge to eat breakfast. All of the lounges in Terminal 3 are located above the departures gates. Down towards the end of this walkway is Singapore Airlines SilverKris Lounge. This lounge is accessible to all Singapore Airlines first and business class passengers, as well as those who have Star Alliance Gold status and are traveling on a Star Alliance carrier. By now, it was already 5 in the morning, and the lounge had just opened. Luckily, this meant I was the first person to enter the lounge and was able to get some decent footage of the empty lounge. The lounge had quite a decent selection of food and beverage options, and ample seating considering there are only 4 scheduled Singapore Airlines flights departing daily from Manila. They had food options for all dietary needs, including vegan options for those like myself. They had plenty of bottled waters available, coffees, teas, and self-serve wine and spirits. There are no showers in this lounge, which is understandable considering the relatively shorter flight time between Manila and Singapore. The lounge had views of the runways and parked planes at the gates, albeit it was rather obstructed. After spending quite a bit of time in the lounge, it was time to make the trek to the gate. Today we will be departing out of gate 108, which was roughly a 5-minute walk from the lounge. The gate agents allowed business class passengers to line up with the pre-boarders, and we were able to board relatively quickly. Today we will be sitting in seat 19 Alpha, which is on the left side and towards the back of the business class cabin. The seats in the business class cabin are in a 1-2-1 configuration, with odd number seats having the most privacy because of the seat's inward location rather than protruding into the aisle. Waiting at the seat was a pillow and a blanket. This was quite nice considering this was a short 4-hour daytime flight. Shortly after settling into my seat, the flight manager went around addressing everyone by name and welcomed everyone to the flight and told us the schedule of the flight. This was also when the pre-departure drink service started, with a choice of orange or apple juice, as well as a hot towel. The seats were quite private. It was like having a little cocoon to myself. The seat itself was very comfortable and cushioned. And now for a quick seat tour. To the right of the seat, we find a remote control for the in-flight entertainment screen, as well as a table to place drinks or place anything you might need. This is also where a cabinet is located, which is where the headphones were placed, and also where 2 USB outlets and 1 international outlet was located. There is also a mirror right next to the sliding cabinet. Below, this is where we find the seat controls. There are plenty of options to customize your seat. However, I found the touch interface of the controls to be somewhat finicky. They wouldn't always register my touch. To the right, we also have a reading light, which had 3 individual lights with adjustable settings. To the left is where you are able to control the window dimness. I personally am not a fan of these windows as they always end up looking distorted one way or another. On both sides of the seat is where you find adjustable armrests. In front of the seat is where you find the literature pocket. Above that is a coat hook. To the front is where the tray table is stored, as well as the in-flight entertainment screen, which I will be showing you shortly. The tray table folds out to a decent size. There is ample room to fit a laptop. While we push back, let's take a look at the in-flight entertainment system. There were so many options for movies, TV shows, and music. I didn't have a chance to look super in-depth because as soon as I saw they had Oppenheimer on demand, I knew I had to immediately watch it. This took up the majority of my 4-hour flight. However, in an upcoming Singapore Airlines long-haul review, I take an in-depth look at the IFE, so stay tuned for that. And now it's time for takeoff after taxiing for roughly 20 minutes. To watch the full, unedited takeoff and landing footage, be sure to check out the video in the link above or in the description box below. Shortly after taking off, the flight attendants went around setting up the tray tables with tablecloths to prepare for the breakfast meal service. I pre-ordered a special vegan meal for this flight, but I got a chance to take a look at the regular in-flight dining menu. Feel free to take a look and pause if you need to. Starting off the meal service was my appetizer of fresh fruit and a bread roll. Along with this, they gave me a yogurt, but it contained dairy. I believe this was an accident, and I informed the flight attendants about this and they apologized profusely. And now for the main course. My vegan main course consisted of a vegan omelet with sweet potatoes and other vegetables. I was quite impressed with this, as usually breakfast, especially vegan breakfast, can be a hit or miss for in-flight catering. This was delicious and satisfying. While clearing my table, the flight attendant noticed an empty water bottle I had in my backpack, and offered to give me a new bottle of water. I didn't expect anyone to notice that, and the attentiveness of the crew really delighted me. Now let's take a look at the Wi-Fi offering for this flight. Full-service Wi-Fi access is free of charge for business class passengers. However, as you can see, the speeds weren't too great. Now let's take a look at the lavatory on board. The lavatory was slightly larger than your typical airplane lavatory. I appreciate how Singapore Airlines stocks their lavatories with a plethora of amenities. I then went back to my seat and decided to watch the rest of Oppenheimer in the lie-flat position of the seat. The seat was very comfortable for lying down, and I found the footwell to be roomy enough for me. However, if you are a taller person, you may find issues with this. After finishing the movie, which was really good if you were wondering, we had already started our descent into Singapore. Take a look at these awesome views. And now it's time for landing.
Welcome to Singapore, ladies and gentlemen, and to all Singaporeans and residents of Singapore, a warm welcome home.
Welcome to Singapore Changi Airport. It was just a few minutes past 11 in the morning at this point. Changi Airport is such a clean and magnificent airport. They offer so much, and I cover that more in depth in an upcoming flight review. As for my thoughts of this flight, I was satisfied with my experience on this flight. I came into this review not knowing what to exactly expect, as this was my first time flying Singapore Airlines. However, I was not disappointed. All of the staff I interacted with were incredibly professional and attentive. They always made sure I was taken care of, and went above and beyond. I was also impressed with the hard product, specifically the seat. It felt incredibly private, and was very comfortable and spacious. Another thing I was impressed with was the catering, both in the lounge and in-flight. My in-flight special meal was creative and delicious. I applaud them for keeping their special meals on par with their regular meals. As for what I would improve upon is the ground service in Manila. However, this is not necessarily the fault of Singapore Airlines, but rather the fault of the Manila airport. It was very disorganized in the terminal, and they need to improve on how they handle their immigration queues. Making a separate line for business and first-class passengers would be a start, but I think improving upon the entire process in general needs to happen before they do that. Overall, I would definitely choose to fly Singapore Airlines if you're flying between Manila and Singapore. The business class price for what you get was a great value in my opinion. Thank you all for watching, I greatly appreciate your support, and stay tuned for my next flight review. See you soon!